Good morning and welcome and happy New Year to all of your bright, shining faces. Welcome to the Unitarian Church of Los Alamos. I'm the Reverend John Cullinan, your minister here. As Unitarian Universalists, we affirm and promote the inherent worth and dignity of all people and gather together in a free and responsible search for truth and meaning. Whoever you are, whomever you love, wherever you are right now, wherever you are on your life's journey, you are welcome to be a part of this community. I want to extend a special welcome this morning to any visitors or first-time guests we have among us. I would love to meet you after the service over some coffee and conversation in our fellowship hall here. I would love to hear any of your questions that you have about our community or just introduce myself and our faith tradition to you. And now, take a moment to get yourself centered. Finding our center is the theme for the month of January. Breathe in deep. Feel your body connected to the earth. Feel your breath moving in time with those around you and the connections that those build. And let us begin. For the new year, just days old, beginning today, always beginning, we light our chalice, symbol of faith, perseverance, and hope, in astonished thanksgiving and irrepressible praise. For beginnings that emerge out of endings, appear amidst continuity, become visible in hindsight. We light our chalice, symbol of faith, perseverance, and hope, in astonished thanksgiving and irrepressible praise, for all the times and all the ways we have begun anew together. We light our chalice, symbol of faith, perseverance, and hope, in astonished thanksgiving and irrepressible praise. Come, let us worship together on this beautiful morning. Would you all please rise in body or spirit and join in our opening hymn, number 350. Please remain standing and join in our affirmation. Love is the doctrine of this church. The quest for truth is its sacrament, and service is its prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge in freedom, to serve life in fellowship, to the end that all souls shall grow in harmony. Thus do we covenant with each and with all. Please be seated. for all our joys, all our sorrows, whether we share them with one another or as this week hold them close and quiet in our hearts. Let us be with one another in a moment of silence. Please join with me now in a spirit of prayer and reflection. Eternal and beloved, gracious source of all life and all love, we come together this morning grateful for this time out of time which we have set apart so that we might become more fully present to our own selves, to each other, and to that which we may call holy. May our joys be celebrated together, our wounds be healed together, our hearts be opened together. Humans being human, we search for chances to start over. What better time to begin again than the start of yet another circle around our sun? It is a new day, a new year. It is perhaps an arbitrary arrangement of time, but still a chance to engage anew with our dreams and our ideals. How shall we use this great cosmic do-over? What shall we commit ourselves to? Should we focus on community, on the common threads that bind our lives together? Should we perhaps seek out new threads to weave into the tapestry, creating for ourselves a stronger fabric? Or shall we turn our eyes towards justice and peace, finally building a world made fair with all its people one? Or are these things connected? Perhaps it's enough in this moment to stop and remind ourselves why we need this place, this circle of care and concern. Perhaps it is enough in this moment to stop and remind ourselves why the wider world needs this place. Perhaps it is enough in this moment to remember that if we are worthy of our place here, then all are worthy, and that some are just waiting for us to show them the way in. Whatever our focus in this new year, may we approach it with commitment. Forgive ourselves when we stumble, and celebrate those things, large and small, which give our lives meaning and lead us into deeper awareness of our limitless connections. All this we pray in the names of those known and unknown, present and absent, remembered and forgotten, in the names of all the helpers of humankind. Amen. And if the young and the young at heart would like to join me at the front of the sanctuary, I have a story this morning. Or you can keep busy coloring. I know that's more fun. They're what jars? Gratitude jars. Excellent. Well, I brought in my lunch bag today a mirror. Not because I'm vain, because I want to talk a bit about reflections this morning. Now, if you look in a mirror, who do you see? Your own self. Yeah. But sometimes when I admire people, or I'm envious of people, or I just want to be somebody different, I might hold the mirror out to the people that I want to reflect. And this is a double-sided mirror, which kind of kills my metaphor a little bit this morning, but go with me. And if I spend long enough envying other people or wanting to be other people or pretending to be something I'm not, the less and less I start to look at myself. And maybe I start to forget. Now, once, long ago, there was a great scholar and rabbi by the name of Zusia. And as Zusia taught and attracted students to him, people who treasured his wisdom and listened carefully to him, he taught throughout his life, and he grew older and older. And he knew soon that his time to die was going to come up. And he was starting to worry about it. And everyone looked at him and said, "But you're so wise, so good. Your entry into heaven is guaranteed, isn't it?" And Zusia said, "Maybe, but I'm worried about the question they're going to ask me when I get there." And his students looked at one another and said, "Well, what question? What question are they going to ask you?" He said, "I'm worried when I get there, they won't ask me, 'Zusia, why weren't you more like Moses?' No, instead they're going to ask me, 'Zusia, why were you not more like Zusia?'" It's okay to reflect upon yourself from time to time. Don't get lost in the mirror like you might get lost reflecting others you want to be at the same time. But it's okay to look at yourself and look within and try to catch the glimpses of who you really are and try to be that person so you are more like you. And that is our story this morning. And you can go back to or begin coloring in your gratitude jars this morning. And you are all welcome to pick up a jar as well if you want to do that during the service. I don't mind. After Jesus was born in Bethlehem in the territory of Judea during the rule of King Herod, Magi came from the east to Jerusalem. They asked, "Where is the newborn King of the Jews? We've seen his star in the east, and we've come to honor him." When King Herod heard this, he was troubled, and everyone in Jerusalem was troubled with him. He gathered all the chief priests and the legal experts and asked them where the Christ was to be born. And they said, "In Bethlehem of Judea, for this is what the prophet wrote. You, Bethlehem, land of Judah, by no means are you least among the rulers of Judah, because from you will come one who governs, who will shepherd my people Israel." Then Herod secretly called for the Magi and found out from them the time when the star had first appeared. He sent them to Bethlehem, saying, "Go and search carefully for the child. And when you found him, report to me, so that I too may go and honor him." When they heard the king, they went. And look, the star they had seen in the east went ahead of them until it stood over the place where the child was. When they saw the star, they were filled with joy. They entered the house and saw the child with Mary, his mother. Falling to their knees, they honored him. Then they opened their treasure chests and presented him with gifts of gold, frankincense, and myrrh. Because they were warned in a dream not to return to Herod, they went back to their own country by another route. So here's what we know for sure about the story of the Epiphany and the three Magi. We know, one, there were Magi. We don't know if there were three or not, because it doesn't say. There are three gifts, but maybe more Magi. We know there is a star that appeared in the story and led them where they were going. We know they took a long journey to get where they were going. Maybe we don't know how long. And we know at the end of the journey, after an interlude where we have to avoid an unscrupulous king, they go and they pay the baby homage and then go home by a different road. That's it. That's the whole story as it's laid out in the Gospel of Matthew, which is the only gospel. It gives us the story of the Epiphany. And yet, we embellish this story as a culture here and around the world like you would not believe. We number the kings as three, because if they were five and they only came with three presents, how terrible would that have been? And we give them names. There are no names in the scriptures at all, but somewhere along the line we learned they were called Balthazar and Caspar and Melchior, and they came from different countries, and depending on what person you're talking to from what country, it might have been a local boy. We don't know. And we build this story up at this time of year, and we write new stories about the three wise men and place them in different contexts, and we write operas for television about their visit. And we make pastries for the kings. You can buy a big one in Smith's right now in some traditions. And gifts to be found in those. But why? Why do we build this story up so much? What is so important about this one moment, these few verses in a huge gospel? Why do we play it up so much? Now, as an armchair psychologist and cultural critic, I'm going to give you my theory on that, and I'm going to explain it a little more. This is only my theory, friends. But here's what I think. We embellish it, we make a big deal out of it, because we identify with what happens in the outcome of the story. The special child is paid homage and brought gifts befitting a king. The Christ is recognized for who he is and gets presence. And we, I'm going to suggest, we want that for ourselves. I mean, who doesn't love to be validated, right? Right? We just want, from time to time, somebody to recognize us for who we are and show a little respect for that and give us presents. We want that. We want to be recognized for who we are. But who are we? There is something essential about each one of us that sits at the core of our being, some kind of spark that is John, or you, something that is essentially you. Now, this is not something that is fixed in time. This is an essence that grows and changes and develops over time. It's a combination of our innate nature and the way we were nurtured, and a combination of every bad choice we've ever made and every job well done. In all of that, layers of who we are at our heart, who the truth of our own selves are, grows and develops at the center. Sometimes this happens consciously. Sometimes we take time to reflect on what we've done and figure out what the lessons are that we've learned, but more often than not, it's happening unconsciously. It's just imprints of events that bind to our souls. But it's there. It's hard to see it sometimes. It's hard to know what that essence is, though. And so I think from time to time, it makes sense for us to manufacture our own moments of epiphany. Epiphany is what's celebrated on the 6th of January or the 8th, because that's how I wanted to do it today. And that's the name of the feast day. It's not the feast of the three magi, it's the feast of the Epiphany. It's the feast of what happens when magi and child and star and king and all of that converges, and what is revealed or uncovered in that moment, because that's what an epiphany means. We tend to think of an epiphany nowadays as these sudden flashes of insight that we get that clarify everything for us in a moment like that. And those happen. And sometimes the insights are based in reality and a little bit of reflection and knowing ourselves, and sometimes, and maybe more often than the other, it's just a flash that helps us confirm our own biases. It may or may not be a true insight. But my point is, it's not the flash. It's not something that happens in an instant. An epiphany is a revelation. It is an uncovering. It's an active verb, not a passive one. It takes work to make epiphany happen. And let's look again at what makes epiphany in the story of the Gospel of Matthew. A star, a journey, and a recognition. There's a lot going on in there. So what does that mean for our own epiphanies? Well, first up, there's a star. And the star is actually the easy part. As supernatural and crazy it may sound to our own ears today, we have something essential at the heart of us, and we see that in flashes and sparks from time to time. Every time the truth of the depth of our love emerges, we see what's at the core of ourselves, or our creative spirit coming forth, or whatever might emerge from us in surprising ways, in moments that we don't accept, you see those flashes of your own essence. You see them in ourselves, you see them in others. And sometimes, if you take a moment to reflect on those flashes, on those moments, you might have a brief flash of epiphany, just a short realization. I know I've had these moments, and I trust I'm not alone, where you get through the end of a moment and you think, wait, that's not me. Or better still, oh yeah, that's me. That's the thing that sings in my heart, in my soul. This isn't me, this is me. These flashes of brief recognition come to us in moments of crisis that we often have no control over, and sometimes they come to us in moments of quiet that we make for ourselves when we feel the need to reflect. And more often than not, those recognitions come in moments where the chaos and the quiet are combined, when everything's going mad and you just have to go sit by yourself. This is a reflection of my own story of a call to ministry and how that came about. It was all about having those flashes of recognition about this isn't me, and this is me. Working corporate jobs that were grinding my soul away, asking me to make sacrifices I didn't want to make. This is not me. And at the same time, having a quiet moment every Sunday in a Unitarian Universalist church where I reawakened again to a sense of purpose that was always there for me from a little age. I'm thinking, oh yeah, that's me. That was something that was intended for me. I should follow that star, right? But when we get those flashes, when we get those moments of recognition, sometimes our first instinct, and this was certainly mine in this case, was to back away slowly and not engage with it. No, no, no. Maybe this is just my ego talking, and I got to think about this some more. We have a hard time listening to our own selves when it really matters. Parker Palmer, in his book, Let Your Life Speak, talks about leading retreats. From time to time, he says, participants show me the notes they are taking as the retreat unfolds, and the pattern is nearly universal. People take copious notes on what the retreat leader says, and they sometimes take notes on the words of certain wise people in the group, but rarely, if ever, do they take notes on what they themselves have to say. We listen for guidance everywhere except from within. We follow an instinct to run away from ourselves. Because to recognize that essence in ourselves, to recognize that truth, that spark that sits at our heart, and to follow it, frequently means we need to change who we're being right now and adapt to that truth we are discovering. It rocks our internal status quo, and who wants to do that, right? I'm comfortable the way things are. It sucks, but I know it, so that's how we're going to do things. And what all this means is simply this. Epiphany ain't easy. It does not come in that sudden flash. The real uncovering doesn't happen like this. Look at what the Magi had to go through. They had to first trust that the star they were seeing was what they thought they were seeing, and they were interpret it correctly. And even if they couldn't know for certain, they still stepped out with a sense of faith about it and take a long journey. could have been as much as 2 years. We don't know. At least the way the story's laid out. And on the side, they have to avoid unscrupulous people who want to use their journey for their own devices. And once they've passed that test, they get to where they're going, and they pay homage. Now, the star is the spark and the flash that we see in the chaos or the quiet or both. And our journey is that step towards a deeper exploration of what it is that star is trying to shine on for each one of us. And then there is the homage. What? Homage? The word comes to us via Latin through Old French. And what homage initially was, I love learning these things, was the name of the ceremony where a vassal would pledge their fidelity to the Lord who owned the land they were working. It was a pledge of faithfulness. A pledge of faithfulness. Homage. Not a self-aggrandizing exercise to inflate our own egos and make us feel grand about who we think we are. It is a pledge of faithfulness to the truth we are trying to get a glimpse of in those moments of spark. After the work of doing the uncovering, of finding the star and following it down and looking at the truth of who we are, something of our essence is revealed, and we make a pledge to that which we find is most essential to who we are. I see myself for who I am. I recognize who I really am, and I pledge to be faithful to that vision, to that truth of my own life. And then, ta-da, we did it. We're all done. Epiphany, we manufactured it, right? Except that I just said Epiphany ain't easy. We are imperfect beings. We screw up all the time. We will stumble on our journeys time and time again, and sometimes we've got to go back and retrace our steps to remember what we've lost. It happens on road trips all the time. We leave something behind at the hotel or the diner or the little tchotchke shop outside the biggest ball of yarn in the United States, and we got to go back and get it. Pick up the thing that we lost. Pick up what we've left behind. And in that case, it means that the journey we engage in when we're trying to make our own epiphany, the journey is the true destination, because we're always going to be looping back. We will forget some of the truth about ourselves from time to time, and we're going to have to make ourselves retrace and find that and maybe uncover another layer, reveal something more about it in the process. It's why we tell stories like this over and over and over again. It's why there is a cycle sometimes to the stories that we tell. Why the story of the 3 wise men comes up every January 6th. We need to be reminded of the meaning of what we're being told, of some of what we are being asked to do. And at the top of a year, why not let that be an epiphany? At the point in the annual cycle where we are practicing the motto of New Year, New You, why not take that and run deep with it? Not just a new surface you, but a new understanding of that truth, of that spark that lies at your heart, getting to know what is essential there. And then resolve. I think plenty of you know my attitude towards New Year's resolutions by now, if you've been listening to me long enough. But if you've got to make one, and I think this is one I'm going to make for myself, resolve to give yourself that occasional quiet moment to hear what it is that our truth, that our essence is trying to tell us, what wisdom is coming from in. This is not me. Oh, this is definitely me. And pay it homage. Make a pledge to stay true to what is at your heart, what is essentially you. Why not, at the top of a year, remember to take some time out from time to time and manufacture a little bit of our own epiphany every day? May it be so. As we prepare to return to our everyday lives, it is time to give something of the gifts of this congregation back to the larger community we are a part of. It is time for our offering. During the month of January, all cash and undesignated funds we collect will be given to our friends at the Esperanza Shelter in Espanola in support of their work for the homeless in our communities. You may give through the baskets as they are passed by today. You may give through the box at the back of the sanctuary if you'd like, or if you're using Givelify, as always, you can use that as well. The offering will now be accepted. May what you give bring you joy and a deeper relationship with this community. And before we depart, we have a few announcements to highlight. You can always find important announcements and upcoming events on the back page of your order of service, or at the website, or on our Facebook page, or on our announcements email list. And if you would like to get on that, let us know. But a few for this week. First up, our monthly forum is happening today on the 8th, right after the service, or maybe with a little bit of transition time to go get some coffee and talk to your neighbors for a little bit. Evan Rose will be speaking today on his experiences going on a civil rights tour through the South, so please stick around for that. This upcoming Saturday, we'll have a zine workshop led by Jen Jordan here at 6 p.m. This is a Friday. You can talk to her for more information. You're not asking people to sign up or anything, are you? No, just, yep. Ask her everything you want to know about the workshop, and she'll be happy to tell you. I love this announcement. Soup and Bread Lunch is coming back. Yeah. Sunday the 22nd, after the service, we will have a soup and bread lunch in the fellowship hall. We're going to be asking people to bring some soups to share and bread as well. Barb Franzak is organizing that, and you can talk to her about what you would like to bring. The following Sunday, January 29th, I will be leading another session of Introduction to Unitarian Universalism. This is great for newcomers who want to learn a little more about our history and what our faith looks like, and for longtime people who just want a little bit of refresher. This is going to lead into a more intensive Pathway to Membership class that'll happen sometime in the spring. I don't have the dates nailed down yet, but that will be coming up soon as well, and I'm happy to talk to you about that after the service. And finally, we are still open for registrations for our new Soul Matters Circles, our new small group ministry program we are starting. This is based in spiritual practices that are developed around each monthly theme. And if you want to be intentional about manufacturing your own epiphany, to go deep with yourself, to find those things that are truest to you and learn new ways to express them, and have other people recognize you for who you are, this is a great opportunity to make that happen, to put the theory into practice. I will be in the fellowship hall with this clipboard and a bunch of pens so you can sign up by paper, because I know some people are allergic to going online and filling out the forms. We do still have the online form available for you as well. Please give it some consideration. I'm happy to talk to you about it. You can talk to Bill Podorsky too about the program. He'll be one of our facilitators. And join us for that. And now, having said all that, please rise in body or spirit and join us in our closing hymn, number 295. Friends, may life bless us and keep us. May the light of life shine upon us and out from within us and be gracious to us and bring us peace. For this is the day. This is the one wild and precious life we have been given. So let us all find a way to rejoice and be glad in it. Go in peace.